Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Little contrast in styles today. And a little bit of a look at this map here. Because this is a new map and a lot of people don't know where to go on this map. Okay, two things we're going to do. Contrast in styles and have a look at this map. Now this tortoise knows exactly where to go and exactly what to do. Basically this map is two corridors and then kind of a bushy area. There's a corridor here. There's always a fight here. I'm pointing at the mini-map now. Shall we make that bigger? Let's make it bigger. There you go. Look at my mouse on there. There's a corridor here with heavy tanks fight, heavily armored TDs. Then there's kind of a face-to-face standoff area here where hull-down tanks face. And then there's kind of a bushy area here where you use your view range and your stealth. There's very aggressive plays you can make, like the 1-2-1B that's going to try and get into the middle here. Is he going to do it? Anyone that can get into this little plateau here, then they control the match. You can win a game from there. So the 1-2-1B getting there is huge. But he has a problem now. He has a problem. His problem is that his teammates are Muppets, and there's no one on his team covering this position right here. I think maybe the Foch is going, because once one of your teammates is there, someone has to cover this position so an enemy can't go there and shoot him up the derriere. And it looks like the Foch is going there. The T-95 is slowly moving. And there is a Batchat 155. There's an artillery there, an IS-32 that has not moved, who's Africa. Alright. And then these guys just sit in bushes, really. The AE Phase 1 has gone to the absolute worst part of the map for him. Because, why would you go there as a heavy tank? Because you don't have any concealment, and people are going to spot you, and artillery is going to shower shells down on you. So if you got stealth, go to the south. And there's a lot of bushes down there. Okay, we got the map. The map's figured out. That southeast portion is kind of like sit there and wait usually, unless you have a very good spotting. Unless you have some teammates that spot or know what they're doing. There's some good blind shooting. Okay, alright, well, there you go. So, basically a corridor map, unless you want to go sit in the bushes. And I noticed that let's make the map a little bit smaller. I noticed that a lot of the maps, the new ones, this one and what's the other one? Oyster Bay? Whatever this one's called. And there's one that looks almost exactly like this map. It's an island, but it looks almost exactly like this one. Why they would put two maps in the game that are basically the same? Right? This one and Oyster Bay play out almost exactly the same. And most of the changes they made to the other maps, like that one with the gravel pit that they changed the topography so you can't snipe across. What was that one? I don't know what that one's called, but you know what I'm talking about, right? They made various changes on various maps, mainly to remove long lines of sight because, and this is the thinking, and I think they were good changes, that the game has just sped up so much now. What's the map that has the gravel pit, and you spawn, and then the two guys, they spot across the gravel pit, and as heavy tanks are moving into position, they're just getting farmed by snipers. See, when that map first came out, tanks were slower. That map's been around since the beginning of the game, and when the game first came out, British medium tanks went like 20-25 kilometers an hour top speed. Heavy tanks went like 15-20. Okay? Light tanks, they only went up to tier 8, and they probably went like 45-50. So it wasn't a problem to spot each other in the first 5 seconds, and the whole team is lit just trying to get into position, and people are sniping you from the base practically. But the game has changed because now you got wheeled vehicles, you got tier 10 light tanks, you got medium tanks that can turbocharge, boost themselves, you got freaking Chinese heavy tanks with rocket boosters, so people can detect each other in the first 2 seconds, and on some maps you couldn't even get into position without getting sniped. So they made necessary, I guess, changes, right? They put topography and rocks and things to cut away those long lines of sight, which I think is a good thing, but it's a band-aid. It's a band-aid solution. It's a band-aid solution that they made because the game has outgrown the maps. The game has become, on top of the speed changes, because wheeled vehicles, what I just described, tanks have higher alpha, higher DPM, higher penetration. The firepower is also more. So if you can spot each other faster, and you can kill each other faster with more DPM, what do you think's going to happen? The game's going to devolve into a shit show, and it'll be over in 1 or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And you're going to get a lot shorter games, and you're going to get people that roll out in a slow tank, try and grind the Type 5 Heavy now, and you get that map with the gravel pit, whatever it's called, and you want to cross to go fuck. You can't. You got to go down the ice road. And by the time you get into position, you look at the score and you're either winning or losing by 8,000 HP. So they had to make changes, but the changes were a result of the power creep in the game that they introduced. And they are a band-aid. Right? And there's an unexpected consequence of those changes is that if you're a TD player, a lot of those long lines of sight, and I've heard this from many TD players, a lot of the long lines of sight and positions that you could get into to snipe are gone on a lot of those maps. Positions that players have used for many years on that same map with the gravel pit. There was the ledge, the 2 ledges on top. On the south spawn, the ledge you could shoot down onto the bridge. You could take long-range shots on the bridge. You could snipe from there. You could be on there and snipe across, or people trying to cross in the middle. People that going around the horn in the southwest side. Maybe I'll put the map I'm talking about on the screen here. You know, all those long lines of sights are gone. Basically, TD players have been nerfed. And it's an unintended consequence. I don't think they meant to do that. But it's what happens when you rely on band-aid solutions rather than balancing the game and the maps. Right? There would be better, more complicated solutions to balance that map by reworking the size of the map, making the map balanced with the speed of the tanks and the DPM of the game. But they weren't interested in that. They added a few rocks and a little bit of topography, and da is good, no problem. And now TDs are frustrated. But not to this TD. He got his second mark, and he was able to go to a choke point and duke it out with the big boys, and he ended up with 6,565. The T-57 Heavy did well. But what would you do in this map if you were a Grillet? No fun for you! All right, let's watch a medium tank game here. And this is a particular tank line in the game, the Polish medium. Which is not new, but this is the type of stuff that they've introduced in the game. Why not have a medium tank that has a turbocharger so it can move around like a light tank and get into positions that would never be achievable in the past. Now, this is another old map. Look at the EBR is going to spot the enemies within the first, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. He's already almost at the enemy. He spotted a player that is just connected into the game. Let's pause it right there, okay? There's 2 TDs that have... a lot of times when you play this game, some people don't have the best setup. Maybe they take 3 or 4 or 5 seconds to connect. The FV just connected and started moving. The Grillet just probably connected at the beginning of the game. He had to spawn a little further back here, right? And they're both moving to one of the only TD positions in the game, which is this little spot right there. EBR spots them. They're already spotted. And the J Panther E100 is already spotted, right? They haven't even started the game. They're already spotted. So the tanks, and now this guy, let me pause it here because I think he's making a mistake. You're so fast, buddy, that if you went to this bush here, you'd probably spot these guys again and maybe take a few shots. This guy is even underestimating the speed of his tank and how much he can destroy the game of the slow TDs. He's stopped in a position that's a good position, and now he's got himself detected, probably from EBR in the middle. or the GSOR. But anyways, I'll talk a little bit now about the Band-Aid solution and how this all kind of, the point I'm trying to make is the game has outgrown the maps. All right, Wargaming has introduced tanks that are just beyond. It would be like having the World Cup of soccer. Those players play on a football field that's 1/4 the size. Okay, like in North America, when you get little kids like 4 and 5-year-olds learning soccer, they let them play on a smaller field, right? They let them play on like a hockey rink size field, like small, and it's just for them to run around and have fun and learn to kick the ball and learn not to pick up the ball with their hands. And so Jimmy will kick the ball and it'll accidentally hit Freddie in the head, and Freddie will go, "I hit me in the head," and then the coach says, no, it's a header. You're supposed to hit it with your head, because this game was developed in England and they like to hit things with their head, whatever, right? They let little kids play on a tiny field to learn. Well, when they have the World Cup, they don't, Pele is not going to play on that field. The field's big. The game works. Can you imagine if the soccer field was half the size? It'd be a shit show, right? They have indoor soccer. It's a shit show. Well, that's what's happened with this game. Is the progression of that poor TD hadn't even left the spawn. Now, of course, the enemy team did not guard the 8-9 line. This guy was able to get here. Blah blah blah. There's always reasons. People say, well, yeah, if they held the 8-9 line, it would have been okay, and whatever. That's not the point. I'm not talking about the micro things that we're seeing here. I'm talking big picture, in general. And this is not a complaining video. This is just stating the obvious. This is the problem with the game now. This is why we're having more and more frequently games that don't last very long. Games that last 3-4 minutes, or at least after 2-3 minutes, it's already a blowout. Or if you make slow, big, targeted tanks excruciating to play, right? Some tank lines are just a waste of time now. The slow, big ones, generally. Every dog has his day. Sometimes they have good games, but typically they're gone now. The meta's gone, and that's because all the tanks are faster. Every introduction of a new tank line seems to be they're faster, or the guns shoot faster, or the guns do more damage. And if they introduce some new equipment, it's to boost your speed. Or if you get the purple equipment, it boosts it more. Or if you put it in the correct slot, it boosts it even more. And well, that's not good enough. Let's have some field modifications so that you could boost it even more. And so then today you can have an IS-7 that goes 70 kilometers an hour. Right? An IS-7. Did you watch my video? They said the IS-7 can go 70, so I played it. Watch that video. Maybe I'll put the link up here. I loaded the IS-7 with total speed buildup, and I was able to get into positions that if you're a sleepy player, if you're playing a slower tank, just at the beginning of the game, you get into just moving into position. There's an IS-7 there. Me. Yeah, I'm not even a very good player, and I was cutting the team off from just deploying. And that's because the game has, let's call it power creep, with the speed, DPM, all that stuff together. Let's just call that power creep. It's the ability of tanks to move into position faster and dish out damage faster. And it's not rocket science. It's just math, right? If the tanks can move faster and dish out damage faster, and they play on the same playing field, the same size, so they don't have to go farther. The map's the same size, right? They don't have to drive farther away, but they can go faster. And when they get there, they can shoot faster and do more damage. It's not rocket science. It's just mathematics that the HP of the teams will drop faster compared to the old days. So the outcome of the game will be shorter. All of that is just math, okay? It's not, the players aren't as good today. People don't know the right strategy. They don't know how to use their equipment properly. All of those things exist, but that's not the reason. The reason is just mathematics. There's just as many players that suck today as players that sucked 10 years ago, and there's just as many good players today as there were 10 years ago. And the demographics is probably plus or minus the same. The consistent changes are that all the tanks are faster and all the tanks do more damage more quickly. So the games are going to be shorter. And to counteract that now, Wargaming is changing some maps to fix things that are broken on the map with the gravel pit, and then the other map where you could snipe from those positions. I did a video about that. I'll post it here, just a picture of the map. They add different topography and different changes, different obstacles, different the changes that they put on the maps. And those are band-aid solutions. Those are band-aid solutions, which the whole point of the video. You guys enjoying the discussion? Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I'm just doing a general discussion here of what's happening in the game. These changes are causing Wargaming to make these band-aid solutions. This power creep has forced Wargaming to make some of these band-aid solutions to the maps, which have inadvertently made the game more difficult for people that play TDs and snipers. If you don't have a lot of armor and you like to sit in stealth and shoot from long distance, the game's harder for you now. Now let's see, what tank class or what nation does not do that normally? What nation relies on armor and DPM and bouncing shots and high alpha? It's getting easier for that, for those type of tanks. The game is harder for a Grillet. The game is harder for any kind of slow tank or any kind of lightly armored tank that needs long lines of sight, because now they've changed the map so to eliminate those long lines of sight, because people were doing damage too quickly. So now people just rush to the choke points and duke it out. And so the meta is get a fast tank with some armor that can dish out the DPM. The best tanks now are the IS-7 is amazing now. You've got armor, you've got speed, you can get to the choke point quickly, you can bounce 5,000 damage in a game, and you can dish out the damage. Right? The Grillet sucks now. Any medium tank with really good armor, maybe of the Russian variety, is fantastic now. It's just much harder for tanks that need long lines of sight. So the game has changed, right? Now, whether you think it's good or bad, that's it's up to you. You say, "Oh, I like the changes. I think it's better for the game." It's fine. I'm not giving an opinion of whether this is good or bad. It's just changed, and it means that some of my favorite tanks, like I like the sniper tanks, it's much harder. The game changes are not good. Oh, hey, you missed that shot. They're not good for the tanks I like. And if you're a TD player, if you like TDs, do you like TDs? If you like TDs, you're not going to like the game as much. All right? Or if you're trying to decide what tanks should you play to have the most fun now, armor, speed, DPM. And DPM doesn't just mean how fast you shoot. All right? Because in this meta, DPM means like how many shots you pen. And so DPM is very closely related to tank that has the most effective premium round. The premium rounds almost always have higher shell velocity and much higher penetration. Much higher chance of not bouncing. All right? So the meta is fast tank with armor that has a good premium round. Press number 2 and drive there as fast as you can and farm them. And what is he going to do here? He's got the FV4005 sneaking up behind him, so he's going to pull a little switcheroo. But anyways, that's my discussion. The kind of the state of the game The reason that Wargaming made changes to the maps, I think we know why, and the effect that those changes had. They've eliminated some of the early positions you can go to where you can really cause a lopsided victory by farming people right at the beginning of the game. And I said that was good, but it has some unintended consequences. The unintended consequences being it's made the game worse if you like to play TDs and snipers. But it made the game harder for you. Not worse, but harder for sure. Look at the Grillet. He's hiding out there. Look at the Grillet on his team here. He's having a good game. He's got 3 kills, and he's just hiding. And he's hoping that Object 430U comes down the 8 line. But the Object 430U is probably not. We'll see. Let's just watch the game now, and leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Those are just my rambling thoughts. They are true. It's just pointing out the obvious of what's happening. You can disagree if you want, but you're wrong. That's what is happening. The whole, people that will like the changes will say, no, you're wrong. No, I'm right, but you like the changes. That's fine. If you like the changes, that's fine. But the consequences are as I described. Right? It's just math, and it's just common sense, and it's not rocket science. This is what's happening. So you can decide whether. If you're a super Unicom and you just like to play your Object 140 and your those tanks, the game's gotten better for you, and so you say, "Oh, I love it. Nothing's broken. You just suck." All these players that play the TD suck, and they need to learn to get good. That might be what you think. What you're really saying is, yeah, I think the changes are good. I think the game is great because I like to play it this way. But everything I said is true. Oh, he got spotted there. That's surprising. I thought he was stealth on that last shot. And now the Grillet's coming to help him. And the Grillet actually puts a nice play, Grillet. It's good to see a Grillet who played very carefully, have a good game, and he ends up with victory. And that's not even good enough for Ace Tanker, guys. He gets 6,509 damage. 6 kills. Well played, Grillet. 124,000 spent on ammunition because he spammed APCR like a motherfucker. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments. But that's the state of the game now, and that's why they made map changes. And whether you like it or not, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you guys on the next one.